Mark, Dan mentioned some of the players there that United are looking to arrange exits for. It feels like they've struggled so far, United, when it comes to player departures. Marcus Rashford being the only high-profile one, really, at this moment in time, a loan to Barcelona. Would you expect things to start accelerating now? Clearly, there may have to be a compromise on United's behalf when it comes to fee and the players potentially when it comes to wages.
This is always one of the problems when you give big contracts to players. It always makes the exits a little bit more tricky because there are only very few clubs in the footballing world that can actually afford these large wages. We know that Marcus Rashford was on in excess of £300,000 a week. He's taken a small pay cut to facilitate that move to Barcelona. And outside of his departure, they've still got these players that are on big wages that they want to try and generate some money for. We know that Real Betis are interested in Anthony off the back of that really successful loan spell last season. However, again, there was a big investment from Manchester United, around £80 million. And again, he's got wages that reflect that, and they can't afford his current wages or the type of transfer fee that Manchester United are looking for. So therefore, that deal's dead in the water at the moment whilst the talks continue. Tyrell Malacia, another player that's not really played a great deal and struggled with injuries. No interest in him as of yet. And we know that Jadon Sancho, whilst he had that reasonably successful loan spell at Chelsea, they didn't want to activate that option to buy him. We know that Borussia Dortmund are at the table, but once again, he's got a year left on his contract with a club option second year, so essentially a year option, but with big wages, teams have to be able to do a deal. So Manchester United's price right now will be at point A, but in 2 weeks' time, when we get closer to deadline day and there's still no movement on those players, Manchester United might have to soften their approach and say, OK, right, this is what we wanted ideally, but actually it's better to get this player off the wage bill and get some form of income than have an unhappy player at Carrington that's not going to be healthy for us, for him, or the bigger picture of the football club. So the stance might change. It's been slow. When you look at other sides like Liverpool, where they've been so effective and proactive in selling players and getting good market value for their players, Manchester United's the other side of the coin, where they've struggled a little bit, but maybe the current regime are just inheriting some of these players that were signed under the Glaziers and not under Ineos.
Manchester United, Benjamin Sesko on his way in, but could there also be outgoings? Daniel Kahn is at the club's training ground for us now. Dan, good to see you. What is the latest with Sesko? Any news on his medical?
Yeah, afternoon, James. Well, this move feels like it's edging closer and closer to completion. We know Benjamin Sesko is in Manchester undergoing his medical today, and all being well, you would hope that a formal announcement could be in the next 24 hours. This comes after yesterday, Manchester United agreeing a deal with RB Leipzig of initial fee just over £66 million, and expecting Sesko to, once he's able to put a signature on that final bit of paperwork, to sign a 5-year contract at Manchester United. And look at that firepower they've already added to this transfer window, to this team, with the likes of Bryan Mbeumo, Mateus Cunha already through the doors here at Carrington. It looks like Sesko could be their 4th major signing of this transfer window. And look, if they are able to do it in the next 24 hours, their final pre-season game is tomorrow against Fiorentina at Old Trafford. A returning David De Gea is set to feature in that one as well. But you just wonder, if they get it done, could he then be formally presented to the Old Trafford faithful? They have done it in previous years. The likes of Casemiro, Rafa, Varane have all had some unveilings like that. They even did it in February with Aiden Heaven and Patrick Dorgu as well. But look, there's still a little bit left to go for Sesko to officially become a Manchester United player. But as things are moving at the moment, expect potentially that to be happening in the next 24 hours.
OK, Dan, we wait to see if he is at Old Trafford tomorrow and unveiled as a Manchester United player. What impact could that have on Rasmus Højlund and Alejandro Garnacho as well?
Yeah, absolutely, James. I mean, there's going to be inevitable doubts now over Rasmus Højlund's future at Manchester United, with one number 9 coming in and the existing number 9 in Højlund just really struggling for any type of form last season. Although he did score quite a few goals in the Europa League, in the Premier League, just as the whole team did, really struggled for any form and only had 4 goals in the Premier League last season after a promising debut season at United. And we understand Manchester United would consider offers for around £40 million for the Danish striker. Bear in mind they signed him for £72 million just a few years ago from Atalanta. So his future is very much in question. He did say in pre-season, though, in the United States, he wants to stay at Old Trafford. He wants to fight for his place. And Ruben Amorim has also really backed him over the last 6 months or so and really talked about his steady improvement. So look, that is very interesting. We know AC Milan, the Italian giants, are interested in Højlund. So let's see if that interest is followed up by any formal bids. Alejandro Garnacho, though, very interesting for United as well, because after spending all of this money in the window, they now need to look at sales and recouping some of that money they've spent this window. And Alejandro Garnacho, let's not forget, Puskas winner at 21 years old, just under 100 appearances for United in the league. He has probably a lot of sale value, and we know Chelsea have been very interested in bringing him to Stamford Bridge. Manchester United value Garnacho, though, at £50 million. So if you combine, and they are able to sell both for around those estimates, for £90 million between Højlund and Garnacho, that is some pretty impressive business for United if they are able to do that in this window and get the fees that they value those players at. Very much it feels like still a lot to do for United in terms of sales. We haven't even spoke about the likes of Jadon Sancho, Anthony, Tyrell Malacia, who we know aren't part of the first team picture at Manchester United. So it feels like still a bit of work to do for the likes of Jason Wilcox and Christopher Vervel, the ones really heading Manchester United recruitment in this window.
Daniel, don't go anywhere. Thank you very much for now.
Manchester United have finally made a decision on the future of Rasmus Højlund, as the Red Devils have lined up his replacement with Benjamin Sesko, set to join the club in the coming days. United have been prioritising a revamp of their attacking line, with a striker being one of their vital summer signings after the Red Devils had their worst Premier League result on record. Already, United have recruited Matheus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers and Brian Bumo from Brentford to support the solo striker, or step up to the role if needed. However, following the signing of the pair, an out-and-out striker was still wanted by the club. Current first-choice striker Rasmus Højlund struggled to find consistency in front of goal as he went through a 21-game goal drought, proving the need for an upgrade. As such, United have agreed terms with RB Leipzig to sign Benjamin Sesko, having already agreed personal terms with the Slovenia international. The move comes after a fierce battle with Newcastle United, with both Premier League sides desperate to sign the Leipzig striker. Now, with Sesko due to move to Old Trafford to become the new first-choice striker, Rasmus Højlund's future has become a little clearer. Prior to Sesko's signing, it was unsure whether Højlund would remain at United or return to Serie A, with a whole host of clubs still holding him in high regard. Now, Gianluca Di Marzio has reported that United are looking at sending Højlund out on loan with an option to buy, although where to are yet to be decided. This decision has given a massive boost to Serie A side AC Milan, who appear to be frontrunners for the Denmark international. It's understood that the only thing standing in the way of the striker leaving Old Trafford is Rasmus Højlund himself, who is keen to remain with Ruben Amorim and his squad and prove himself in the side. A photo of Jadon Sancho in the new Manchester United home shirt has emerged on the club's official website. Sancho features in the list of first-team players, but does not have a number after Manuel Ugarte assumed the 25 shirt after signing from Paris Saint-Germain last year. Marcus Rashford is the only other player without a number after Matheus Cunha took the 10 shirt. Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford and Tyrell Malacia also have photos in the new kit despite not training with the team during pre-season. Rashford's image appears in black and white to show the player is on loan. Despite those photos, Anthony, Malacia and Sancho do not feature on the list of players' names the fans can have on the back of this season's shirt. The trio are absent from the club's online shop despite the additions of Harry Amas and Toby Collier alongside new signings Brian Bumo, Diego Leon and Matheus Cunha to the now 24-player list since it went live.